What's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. Sorry that I missed the video last week because I wasn't feeling too well after a dental surgery. But I'm back with another BTC update and where I think it will be going to next. Well, we start off the October month pretty well, I guess. The equities and Bitcoin and crypto in general was pushing up, and that's a good sign. But just to take note, our overall bias is still bearish, and also it was the opening of Q4, and so usually the opening of the quarters usually have liquidity grabs, such as, let's say, when the main bias is bearish, you'll usually push up first to gain liquidity to grab more seller liquidity, and then we'll start to go down again. So depending on where are we now and depending on the news that are coming next, that will definitely affect how crypto and equities will react. And so later I'll cover that in detail as well. And I will also cover some altcoin analysis such as ETH, Matic, and Solana. So stay tuned for that. Try to keep this short and sweet. Right now, Bitcoin, we are still in a range since the August period where we are ranging at between around 20,500 and 18,000. We just discount this big move over here. It ended up still going back into this range over here. So what are we going to see next? Even though Bitcoin has pushed up in this week from about 18,900 to about 20,300, that's not a very huge move, and that doesn't tell us which is the major move that Bitcoin wants to do next. But do note that later during the day, we have release of US news, non-farm payroll news, and that will definitely affect the markets. And depending on the outcome, it will determine whether Bitcoin is going back down to the lows or will break this trend line and hit back above our key levels. Okay, so let me share with you guys what's the news that's happening later. So as you can see here, later at 8:30 AM Eastern, we have USD news releasing, non-farm employment change, and the unemployment rate. So they're forecasting that there will be 248,000 for the non-farm employment change, and for unemployment rate, it's about 3.7%. Okay, so there are two ways this can go. So if the non-farm employment change is very bad, lower than expectation, that would probably prop up Bitcoin and equities up, because people will think that the Fed will have to U-turn to prevent this from worsening. That's the bullish case scenario. But if it comes up as expected, or it's better than expected, that will probably mean crypto and equities will head down to the lows. Because if the data is better than expected, majority of the people will expect that the Feds will continue raising rates to decrease the demand of the economy. Okay, so similarly for unemployment rate, if the unemployment rate percentage is less than forecasted, that would mean there are less people who are unemployed, which is a good thing sort of, but that will mean it's a bearish move for Bitcoin and equities, and vice versa. So if unemployment rate is let's say higher than expected, then that will probably have a short-term bullish bias on crypto and equities. Okay, so now that I've covered the news, let's move on back to the chart. Cool. So as you can see in Bitcoin, this is the daily chart. We are still at resistance at around the 20,400 regions. This is at the top of the range since around the 25th August. Alright, so the bullish bias, let's say that the data was bad, etc. And so people might think that the Fed might have to lower interest rates and, pivot a little bit. So I can see short-term bullish bias, let's say breaks above resistance, retests, and that could probably push up back to the 22k levels. But I don't think this would be the scenario that will come. So we'll see where the data brings us. And if the data is better than forecasted whatsoever, okay, that will be the bearish bias. And so let's say you start to probably just push down straight away to the lows. But if it's as forecasted and it's pretty neutral data, you'll probably look something like this. You'll push up to resistance, grab some liquidity for sellers, hit resistance again, causing a double top, and then we start pushing down. So these two options that I've pointed out, the downside options should be, I'm leaning more towards those because anyway, the higher time frame is still bearish, and I'm assuming that the data would be better or as forecasted because the expectations isn't too high, and so I'm expecting these two moves to happen. Okay, so that's about it. Keep it simple, have plans for both sides, both for longs and shorts. I'm leaning towards the shorts, so anytime it hits this resistance again, fails to break, I'm shorting here. Okay, or you can wait till the confirms after the news where it starts to break this previous high over here, maybe causing a, let's say, okay, if you see this drop off, breaks previous highs, comes back for a retest, this is also a short entry. So that's roughly all for Bitcoin. Okay, but let's say, remember I said this bullish move, if it happens, breaks above, retests this level or retests 21,400 levels, I can easily see above 22k levels and towards the previous highs at 22,800, and then we'll see from there if that happens. Alright, so that's Bitcoin. Okay, let me talk a little bit about DXY, the USD index. Okay, this is very important as well because most of the pairs that we are trading against is, let's say, BTC USD, ETH USD. We can see that DXY is very bullish across the board, and that is why most equities and cryptos are down because we are trading against the USD pair. Right now, it has formed a previous high last month, okay, back at around the 26-27 September, and from there on, when the quarter opened, it pushed down to have a retracement, forming a support at previous zones of resistance that turned to support right now, and the last 2 days it has been pretty bullish so far. So similarly, as what I mentioned for Bitcoin, it depending on the news. So if the news is good, DXY will probably push up, break this resistance, and then the inverse will happen. Crypto and equities will drop, and if the news is bad, then that will give short-term bullish formation for Bitcoin and equities because USD will probably head back downwards, back to around the 110 regions. So keep an eye on this chart as well. Personally, I feel that it's probably going to break resistance anytime now and then start going head back up again, and then crypto would head back to lows. Okay, so that's done. Let's move on to ETH. Okay, similar to Bitcoin, right now is at huge resistance at around 1370 regions. We have been in this range since 18 September when we formed these lows, these local lows, and we have been in this range for quite some time. And looking at the candles forming over here, the previous daily candle formed a bearish candle with a long wick to the upside, but failing to break above this rejection zone. So same thing, if Bitcoin gets bullish, ETH will probably follow the same. And so very simply for ETH, if it gets a break above this resistance to about 1390, retests, then I will take a long from here and go back up. But if the news is good and then crypto and equity start falling again, this is a very good short, maybe a liquidity grab back above to 1365 regions. Okay, this is a good short. Fails to break above, then we start head back down to the range again. So this will be a good short as well. And we can see here this ascending trend is about to break soon. So depending on the data, we will play from there. I'm leaning towards the ETH short bias. But we could still see ETH trading above resistance, retest and hit back to 1420 regions, 1425 regions. that is a fantastic area to short as well, because it's the previous higher low, as you can see here, and it's forming as a resistance right now. So that's an area I would short at too if it pushes up to that region. Okay, moving on to Solana. Very similar chart. We are still in the range for quite some time. Resistance at $35 region, and the bottom range is around the $30 region. So again, if it pushes up $35, I'll look for shorts over here because it's playing as a huge resistance. It has failed to break that level for a long time, but at the same time, it has failed to break this level, 31.70, for some time as well. So not a very clear picture for Solana. So only confirm longs if we break this resistance. Comes back support at $35, and I can see upside to about $38. But for safer shots, we come down, break all this support over here, retest this level about $32.20, then we head back down. Okay, keep it simple for Solana. Not very clear chart to do, so I wouldn't be really looking at Solana to trade off. Okay, lastly, I want to cover Matic or Polygon. This is a nicer chart to trade. Okay, we can see a clear downtrend forming for Matic. Okay, huge move downwards, retraces, another huge move downwards. Will we see another huge move downwards? That is the question. Right now, it's already retesting the trend line. Okay, we could see a little bit more upside to around the 88 cents region. Okay, then we start having the huge move down. Okay, similar to this, it pushed up a little bit and then have one more final leg up, taking all the seller liquidity above here, and then we start pushing back down at resistance over here. Similarly, I'm looking for this move as well. Definitely taking a shot over here at 88 cents if it pushes up. And even though it breaks this trend line, it does not matter because it has not broken the previous highs yet. Alright, so I'll only be bullish on Matic if it manages to break above 93 or 94 cents, then I probably look for longs. Or higher risk, higher reward longs if it breaks this resistance level at 88 cents, retests this area, then I'll look for longs. Okay, other than that, this is the move I'm looking for, or we can look for shorts around these regions as well. Okay, if the news is very, very good, we can just start seeing Matic just push down all the way from here, this region. Okay, so these two scenarios are the ones I'm looking for. Okay, so that's about it. Hope this video finds you well, and I hope this video helps you out as well in your analysis and trading. And also, why am I so bearish overall, and why do I think crypto has not bottomed yet? Is because there's still so many major moves in the real world that's happening right now. The economy is really bad, banks are failing, countries, currencies are at the brink of extinction. Let me give you some examples. Firstly, a Switzerland bank called Credit Suisse is battling rumors of a Lehman-style crash. If you don't know what's that, it's a very well-known and renowned bank back in 2008 which crashed and caused a recession, a huge recession back in 2008. We have the US dollar super bullish and crushing global currencies because of inflation and because of the rate hikes that the Fed is doing right now, and because USD is the global reserve currency, and that is why most countries will convert their reserves into USD, and that's why USD is super strong and destroying other countries' currencies. We also have the UK economy having a meltdown as well. The currency is super bad, and the Bank of England had to intervene and prop up their currencies, buying back bonds, etc., meaning that they are printing money again, which counteracts inflation because that's the one thing that causes inflation to go up, money printing. Okay, but UK has no choice to protect their currency. Similar to Japan, they were also forced to prop up yen, their currency, after their bank keeps to negative interest rates. No choice means they have to print money again, which again causes inflation, and this will be never ending. And so the economy is very bad worldwide. And so I'm still not yet convinced that the bottom is it. That is why my bias overall is still bearish. Alright, so hope this helps you out. And remember, the markets are always here, but your capital may not. Peace.